To the Valenti Vod. I'm your perfect and humble leader, Chris Valenti. I just recorded 10 minutes of this fucking video, and then my mic shit the bed. Live on the Valenti Videos broadcast. We've got a show for you today, folks. We're watching Trump's worst interview of all time. Quite arguably, the worst interview a U.S. president has ever given in American history. He quite literally said, he's asked, don't you have to uphold the Constitution? And he goes, I don't know. I'm not fucking kidding. We're going to cover that. He also says that he doesn't know if illegal immigrants are entitled to due process. Yeah, they are. It's in the Constitution. All persons within the United States are entitled to due process. It's in the Constitution. But regardless, we're going to watch this. If I have mic problems to my chat, please, all caps, say mic. M-I-C, just spam that. Other than that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you hit that notification bell, you're going to be notified when I go live, because we film this shit live, okay? I'll pull up the chat so you can see them. They're going to pop up right over, right on this woman's dress. But anyway, all of that, like, commenting, subscribing, costs you nothing, helps me immensely. If you do want to help the channel financially, because this is real independent media, there's a couple of ways you could do it. You could become a patron on Patreon for $5. You could become a member on YouTube for $5. You could buy some dope-ass Valenti Videos merch right down below, and you can use that 40% off discount for the Ground News Fancy subscription. Anyway, other than that, let's dive right in to the intervussy. This is going to be long, so make sure you get a drink and a snack, okay? And water, because I know you're not fucking hydrating.
President Trump, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here to mark your first 100 days in office. It has been an incredibly busy 100 days. You've signed more than 140 executive orders. You've been focused on the border, the economy, foreign policy. What is your biggest goal in the next 100 days?
Well, I want to be Pope. I think we're going to see a lot of results. We've already seen them on the border. We have the best border in the history of our country. It was 99.999.
That number, he says that illegal immigrant crossings have dropped 99.999%. He is claiming that 3 people crossed the border illegally since he became president. He is claiming that 3 people have crossed the border since he was the fucking president. That's what he's fucking claiming. Jack's here. Hi, Jack.
And nobody ever thought that was possible. In fact, Biden, if you remember, said he has to get legislation. And I said, no, you just need a new president. And I guess I was right. We have the best border we've ever had. We're doing great on illegal immigration. We are being hit hard by judges that I think they're trying to take away the power of the presidency.
He's talking about judges that know what the Constitution says. He's talking about judges that are upholding the Constitution because he has no fucking idea what's in the Constitution.
In a massive landslide, in a big vote. We won the swing states. We won the popular vote. We won the district votes by tremendous numbers. We won everything. And one of the primary reasons I was elected was to get people out of our country that were allowed. We have prisoners. We have
2-year-old babies, U.S. citizens with cancer.
Murderers. We have terrorists in our country. We have people from mental institutions that are seriously insane. They all came in through Biden's open border policy. And
now, again, real quick, I just want to point out, Joe Biden deported more people during his term than Donald Trump did during his first term. It was something like 4 million people. Now, I don't think Joe Biden was a good president whatsoever, but he definitely wasn't a pro-immigrant president. He deported a fuckload of... Dude, Barack Obama was known as the deporter-in-chief. Like, what are we talking about? The Democrats are not pro-illegal immigration. The one thing I will give you is that Joe Biden got rid of the Remain in Mexico policy, right? Which meant that if you crossed the border illegally and you were seeking asylum, you could remain in the United States while you seeked your asylum claim, while you waited for that date. And then, let's say you were rejected from asylum, then you'd be deported. And that happened to like 4 million people. But this bullshit claim that that Joe Biden was like, I want more illegal immigrants. That's just fucking false.
I was elected to get them out and to seal the border, but to get them out. And we'll have judges, they're activist judges, they're saying, well, you know, you don't have the right to take out murderers and people that you don't even want to talk about.
Nobody is saying that you don't have the right to deport illegal immigrants. What they're saying is that everybody in this nation is entitled to due process under the law. And you can't force somebody to cruel and unusual punishment by throwing them on a plane and deporting them to a fucking extermination camp in El Salvador where none of the prisoners ever see light until the day they die, bro. You do know that, like, you don't leave CCOT. Nobody leaves CCOT. And you don't see the sun. Your whole time there, it has been accused of many human rights violations. It's a fucking extermination camp, dog.
Really, some really bad criminal people, and they're here illegally. So, you know, they talk about your next question will be due process, but they talk about due process, but do you get due process when you're here illegally?
Yes, you do. And the fact that you don't know that, Mr. President, makes me want to invoke the 25th Amendment. You are unqualified. This is like a vote of no confidence. You took an oath to the Constitution, hand on the Bible. Just kidding. You didn't even put your hand on it because you knew it'd burn. But motherfucker, the whole point of becoming the president is to uphold the Constitution. And you just said, I don't know. I mean, are they entitled to due process? Yes! You put this motherfucker on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader and you make the category constitutional law, he will lose. And he's the president of the United States.
We're going to talk about all of that. We are going to talk about deportation, but I want to start on the economy, sir, which obviously the biggest issue for voters. We got new numbers today, better than expected job numbers.
Much better.
At the same time, the economy shrank in the first quarter.
Plummeted,
You've been arguing
bitch.
all week that this is President Biden's economy. Is this now your economy, sir?
Well, I think certain aspects of it are. Costs are. I was able to get down the
The
costs.
good
but
parts are mine, the bad parts are Biden's.
even that, it takes a while to get them down, but we got them down good. We lost $5 to $6 billion a day with Biden.
Lie.
$5 to $6 billion.
Lie.
And I've got that down to a great number right now in a record time. You know, we're talking about 100 days. But just think of what that is. $5 billion a day we're losing on trade. And we were very tough with China, as you know. We put 145% tariff on. Nobody's ever heard of such a thing.
Yeah, because it's fucking lunatic, dipshit.
And we've essentially cut off trade relationships by putting that much of a tariff on.
He just flexed.
We've essentially cut off trade relationships with China, our second largest trading partner.
Are you out of your fucking mind?
And that's okay. We've gone cold turkey. That means that we're not losing. You know, we lost $1 trillion to China.
Lie.
$1 trillion. That means
Lie.
we're not losing $1 trillion when we go cold turkey because we're not doing business with them right now. And they want to make a deal. They want to make a deal very badly. We'll see how that all turns out, but it's got to be a fair
Luigi's about to bark because there's a human fucking baby in the
deal.
hallway.
But think
God,
of it.
she
We're
hates
losing
human
$1 trillion.
babies.
And that was a big part of the $5 million a day.
And I want to talk about China, but just staying on
Luigi,
this
I gotta
idea
go
of
grab
the
her.
economy on the
Sorry, hold on 1 second. Luigi, come here. Bad girl. Very bad. No Bork. No Bork. No Bork.
the eve of your inauguration, the stock market spiked. You called it the Trump effect. Are you?
It spiked because I was elected president.
Well,
It spiked because of anybody
Yeah.
else. It spiked because they see what I'm going to do. They know what I'm going to do with the tariffs and everything else. And I think it's actually working out better than we anticipated. Did you see oil prices? Did you see gasoline is now below, in many cases, in many states, below $2 a gallon, $1.98, $1.99, $1.97?
Lie. Lie.
My question, sir, is when the stock market spiked, you said this is the Trump effect. When the numbers weren't so good earlier this week, you said it's the Biden effect. Are you only taking ownership of the good numbers and not the bad numbers?
I think he did a lot of very bad things, and despite some of the bad
He
things,
is. He's literally saying,
Everything that's good is my fault, and everything that's bad is his fault.
we're overcoming them. But he was bad on the border. He was bad on the economy. We had the worst inflation in the history of our country. Look, Biden gave us the worst inflation in the history of our country. People, it didn't matter what they made because they were losing their shirt because of costs. Now take a look at what happened. Oil is down, gasoline is down, groceries are down, eggs. You were the one that asked me. You
attaboy Jack wearing the merch.
asked me about eggs. It was the first week I didn't even know anything about what were you talking about. Egg prices were so high you couldn't buy eggs. They didn't have any eggs. And they said Easter is going to be a disaster. Well, we had Easter at the White House, and we had thousands of eggs. And
Yeah, you wasted 30,000 eggs on Easter. You know how, like, when you guys do an Easter egg hunt with your family, you get those plastic eggs so you could fill them with candy? No, the Trump regime, not only do they hate children so fucking much that they gave them real eggs, but they bought 30,000 real eggs just to paint them and hide them around the White House. No candy. What the fuck? Could you imagine being a kid and grabbing an egg on an Easter egg hunt at the White House? Because your parents are like bougie-ass rich conservatives. You don't know shit about politics. You're a child. And you grab the egg and you try to open it. You're like, what? And then you do open it and a fucking yolk falls out? A yolk? Wouldn't that make you a murderer? That's an abortion.
they were down 87%.
Yeah, a lot of that, of course, spike was because of bird flu. But when does it become the Trump economy?
Why do you say that?
Well, tell me,
we had the same bird flu as he had.
When does it become the Trump economy?
It partially is right now, and I really mean this. I think the good parts are the Trump economy, and the bad parts are the Biden economy.
Brother. What? I hope I didn't just break my mic.
Because he's done a terrible job. He did a terrible job on everything. From his auto pen, which I'm sure he knew nothing about some of the things he was supposedly signing, to immigration. You look at what happened with immigration, how bad it was. Think of it. We have murderers. 11,888 murderers, many of them murdered more than one person.
11,888. Brother, you said there were 20 million on the campaign trail. You said that there are between 11 and 20 million undocumented immigrants, and you said most of them are rapists, murderers, gang members, insane people. That's what you said. And now the number goes down to 11,000?
Of that, and they're in our country. Now, we've gotten a lot of them out, and we know.
Yeah, of course you got a lot of them. Motherfucker, you gave ICE a quota. You said by hell or high water, ICE must deport 1,200 people per day. You just said there was only 11,000 of them. So who the fuck are we deporting? Who the fuck are they deporting if the... Motherfucker, you would have gotten through the 11,000 in a week. In a week.
Who many of them are, and we're on the hunt. But why would anybody do that? Why would anybody...
No, Chatter's right. If you've ever seen the development and decline of dementia, you know what he's on the cusp right now. Yes, he's literally... He's got early onset dementia.
Do such a thing where they'd allow... hundreds of thousands, and
this is why I said earlier, it's time to invoke the 25th Amendment. He needs to be impeached and removed from office. He's not capable of handling the power of the presidency. And the thing is, people are like, well, why didn't you say that during Biden? Biden should have been impeached as well. His fucking brain was leaking out of his ears. Yeah, motherfucker. Yes.
Even millions of people into our country who are criminals and murderers at the highest level. Who would do this?
But, sir, you acknowledge when you announced your tariffs, for example, the stock market dropped. It's been volatile. It has since gone up.
It is,
do you
but now
take
it's
responsibility
going up. Look at
for that?
today.
Yeah. Do you take responsibility when it drops?
Ultimately, I take responsibility for everything, but I've only just been here.
By the Constitution.
What'd I do?
Disaster. But the stock, hundreds of thousands and even millions of people into our country who are criminals and murderers at the highest level. Who would do this?
But, sir, you acknowledge when you announced your tariffs, for example, the stock market dropped. It's been volatile. It has since gone up.
It is,
do you
but now
take
it's going up.
responsibility
Look at
for
today.
that? Yeah. Do you take
Look,
responsibility when it drops?
Ultimately, I take responsibility for everything, but I've only just been here for a little more than 3 months.
Yeah, you've been there for 100 days, dude. Do you know what FDR did in his first 100 days? He practically undid the Great Depression. He used federal funds to create the first New Deal program and employ fucking millions of Americans on a national highway system. You done fuck all. You've had the worst 100 days in American history.
But the stock market, look at what's happened in the last short period of time.
Yeah, you've crashed the stock market. The Dow Jones had a worse April than in 1932 during the Great Depression.
Didn't it have 9 or 10 days in a row or 11 days where it's gone up? And the tariffs have just started kicking in. And we're doing really well. Psychologically, I mean, the fake news was giving me such press on the tariffs. The tariffs are going to make us rich. We're going to be...
The tariffs are going to make us fucking poor. You're already starting to see the empty shelves because, as he just said, we have just ended trade with China. There's fucking empty shelves all over the United States. We're moving into it now that we're in May. For the next 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to start to see the prices of everything skyrocket, and the shelves will be fucking empty. And he's going, we're going to get rich. Yeah, you're going to get rich. Elon's going to get rich. The people you're around are going to get rich because you're already fucking billionaires. You goddamn robber baron bootlicking piece of shit.
A very rich country.
So let's talk about the tariffs. And I want to ask you about something you said this week. Got a lot of attention. You were at your cabinet meeting. You said, quote, I'm going to quote what you said, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30.
Yeah.
And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. Are you saying that your tariffs will cause some prices to go up?
No, I think the tariffs are going to be great for us because it's...
Brother is just denying reality. 25th Amendment. Impeach and remove this man.
Going to make us rich.
But you said some dolls are going to cost more. Isn't that an acknowledgement that some prices will go up?
I don't think a beautiful baby girl that's 11 years old needs to have 30 dolls. I think they can have 3 dolls or 4 dolls because what we were doing with China was just unbelievable. We had a trade deficit of hundreds of billions of dollars with China.
When you say they could have $3 instead of $30, are you saying Americans could see empty store shelves?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they don't need to have $30. They can have 3. They don't need to have 250 pencils. They can have 5.
But
hey, you got kids? Fuck your kids. That's what he just told you. That's what he just... You want to know why? Because he's talking about empty shelves and pencils and all that shit. His bloodline has never known wanting. His bloodline will never know needing. His bloodline will never be affected by the tariffs. He will... His great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren will be richer than you ever will be. They will never feel the effects of anything they do to the economy because they are the establishment. He is the swamp.
You're basically saying there could be some supply shortages because of the tariffs.
We don't have to waste money on a trade deficit with China for things we don't need, for junk that we don't need.
Well, prices are already going up on some popular items, tires, strollers.
This is such a dishonest interview already.
Dude. Hey, MAGA, if you're watching this and you're about to be like, yeah, this is great. You're a fucking fascist bootlicking tool. This motherfucker gets asked one question that he doesn't like. One. She's been cradling his fucking nuts the whole time. Oh, well, the price of tires has gone up. Whoa. And you fucking coward, you fat fucking pussy. I know, friendly fire.
Prices are down on groceries. Prices are down for oil. Prices are down for oil energy. Prices are down at tremendous numbers for gasoline. And let me tell you, when you have...
4 lies.
The big thing, what he did, he spent like a stupid person, which he was, but he spent like a very stupid person, and that was bad for inflation. But what really killed us with inflation was the price of energy.
If this interviewer lets him dodge what he just fucking did, where like she was like, well, the prices have gone up. If she lets him dodge, she's a fucking pussy.
It went up to $3.90, even $4.
This interview happened
and in
yesterday,
California,
Jack.
$5 and $6, right? Okay. I have it down to $1.98.
Or I'm sorry,
in many states.
the interview was released yesterday. I think it happened like right after his 100-day mark.
It's right now. When you go that much lower on energy, which is ahead of my prediction because I really thought I could get it down into the 250s. We have it down at $1.98 in numerous places. But when you say costs are going up, even mortgage rates are going down.
Lie.
But let me give you some examples.
These are
These are
bold-faced fucking lies. This man is a pathological liar, and his stupid bootlicking cultists will lap up every fucking word he says like thirsty dogs.
I mean, these are actual examples. So you're saying the prices that are going down, some prices are going up, tires, strollers, some clothing in the wake of your tariffs.
Excuse me, that's peanuts compared to energy. Energy is 60% of the cost.
That's a lie.
You campaigned on a promise to bring prices down on day
Well, I don't know. When
one.
you say strollers are going up, what kind of a thing? I'm saying that gasoline is going down. Gasoline is thousands of times more important than a stroller someplace.
But what do you say to Americans who say they voted for you because they want and they need relief right now?
And they're
Go fuck
getting it.
yourself.
Right now? What about those
Even mortgage rates. It was
different
just
items
that
I just
mortgage rates are going down despite the fact that we have a stubborn Fed.
But you said dolls, even dolls could cost a couple bucks more.
Maybe they might, but you don't need to have, as I said, $35. You can have 2, 3, 4 and save a lot of money. We don't need to feed the beast.
I guess you're talking about this
beast?
transition cost.
Do you mean the American consumer? This is, just so you understand, guys, what you're seeing is end-stage capitalism. Late-stage capitalism was like George W. Bush, right? God damn it, there's somebody else in the hallway. This is the end stage of capitalism, where everything is fucking crumbling. There's someone singing in the hallway. That's why Luigi's borking.
How should people expect that transition to last, Mr. President?
I can't tell you that. I can tell you that we're making a lot of money. We're doing great. Again, we're losing more than $5 billion a day. $5 billion a day. You don't talk about that. And right now, we're going to be at a point very soon where we're making money every day. Look,
What?
How soon?
We will. Did he just say we're going to get to a point where we're making money every day, like the United States is no longer going to be in a fucking deficit? Does he understand that we are literally trillions of dollars in debt? This guy's so fucking stupid. Oh my fucking God.
Losing hundreds of billions of dollars with China. Now we're essentially not doing business with China. Therefore, we're saving hundreds of billions of dollars. Very simple.
You take me to my next question, which is about China. They've been making a number of public statements.
Very positive statements the last 24 hours.
Well, and most recently,
Bro, what are
they
you
said,
talking about? China has been coming out and saying, yeah, Trump is lying about having conversations with Xi Jinping because those conversations aren't happening.
before talks could happen, the U.S. would need to remove unilateral tariffs. Would you consider dropping the tariffs to get China to the negotiating table?
No, they
No. Oh, God, we're so fucked.
First of all, you're giving me a statement that was said a week ago. You're not.
Hold on. Luigi, come here. Fucking dog, man. This fucking dog. I love her to death, but she can't stand the sound of human babies. And as soon as I sit back down, there she fucking goes, because she don't give a shit about nobody but herself. I'm going to mute my mic, and we're going to keep this going.
Giving the statement that was said today.
I have May 2nd Chinese Commerce Ministry.
Do you know what they said today?
The U.S.
We're
wants to
looking
negotiate.
forward.
It should show sincerity by preparing to take actions in correcting its mistakes and canceling the unilateral tariffs.
They made First of all, they made numerous statements. You
Yes, they've made
know
numerous
how many
statements.
people speak for
Yes.
China? It's like
Yes.
50
They've
different-
made numerous
I
statements.
can give you a
Yes.
statement for any occasion.
Yes, yes.
But they said today they want to talk. Look, China.
No, they didn't. Brother, we have the fucking transcripts. No, they didn't, you lying fuck.
And I don't like this. I'm not happy about this.
Oh,
China's
my
getting
God.
killed right
Oh,
now.
my God.
They're getting absolutely destroyed. Their factories are closing. Their unemployment is going through the roof. I'm not looking to do that.
What? Brother, China is outpacing us in every single sector. What the fuck are we talking about?
That to China. Now, at the same time, I'm not looking to have China make hundreds of billions of dollars and build more ships and more army tanks and more airplanes.
So you're not, just to be very clear, you're not dropping the tariffs against China to get them to the negotiating table. Those tariffs are staying on.
Why would I do that?
Would you lower them?
At some point, I'm going to lower them because otherwise you could never do business with them.
Yeah.
And they want to do business very much. Look, their economy is really doing badly. Their economy is collapsing.
So small businesses say they are being hurt by the Chinese tariffs, and some could be forced to shut
And
down.
many businesses are being helped.
Are you
Look at the
considering
automobile
tariff
business.
relief for small businesses?
Why do you always mention that, you pick up a couple of little businesses? What about the car business? They're going to make a fortune because of the tariffs. Do you know that the union, the head of the union, who is no fan of mine, Sean Fain.
The car business is actually losing so much fucking money that Trump had an emergency meeting with the CEOs of all of our major automobile industry giants, right? And had to tell them that they cannot increase the prices of their cars despite the fact that all of the parts they're importing from China are going to increase in price. He did this because he's fucking panicking.
I guess his name is, right? He didn't endorse me. The Teamsters did. A lot of people did. A lot of unions did. But he didn't. He couldn't stand me. Now he's saying, wow, what's Trump's done for the automobile? I can't believe it. I assume he's going to probably now say the next thing he can say is, I endorse this guy. He's the greatest I've ever seen. He can't believe it's happened. He said, we've been waiting 40 years for somebody to do what Trump is doing. So why don't you mention the big car industry instead of mentioning somebody that's doing strollers?
Well, I'm just asking you about small businesses. Are there any discussions about giving any relief to small businesses?
They're not going to need it.
Okay.
They're going to make so much money.
Are these tariffs?
If you build your product here. Remember, there are no tariffs if you build your product here. It's very
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
easy. It's very simple.
Are these tariffs permanent, Mr. President?
Depends on what you're talking about. One of the things that is going to bring and has brought, so I think we probably have close to $9 trillion of investments coming into this country. If you look at other presidents, there's never been anything like that. This is over a period of 2 months. You got to give me a little break on the 1 month because we're 3
All right,
months.
no, it's not an audio glitch. I fucking muted it by accident. I realized it. I said that I gave Luigi a piece of cheese, and now my fucking finger smells like cheese.
Let's say we had to get started. We had a lot of fake news at the beginning, so we had to beat that down. But so let's say in 2 months. So in just a short period of time, a matter of a couple of months, we have the largest number ever in history invested in the United States.
Lie!
Committed. We have between guaranteed spoken for and people that are going to make a decision and announce it pretty soon, close to $9 trillion. We've never had anything close. Now, that's Apple building $500 billion worth of plants. They always built their plants in China. Now they're building their plants over here. That's the biggest computer company, the biggest chip company in the world. The chip company from Taiwan, which is the biggest in the world, is committed for $500 billion. Another one's committed for $300 billion.
I love how he's neglecting to mention the fact that he said that if any company invests more than $5 billion in the United States, they will have to pay $0 in taxes. That's what this is. It's the rich flocking to the United States because they understand that this is a nation for the billionaires and by the billionaires.
We have companies, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And let me tell you the other thing, very importantly, automobile companies, plant after plant after plant, Toyota, Honda, Ford, General Motors, Stellantis. I mean, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And I don't like this, but it happens to be. They're stopping work in Mexico, and they're stopping work in Canada, and they're all moving here.
This is important, though. You're not taking the possibility that these tariffs could be permanent off the table. Some of them.
Oh, I wouldn't do that, because if somebody thought they were going to come off the table, why would they build in the United States?
Let me ask you
You
about,
understand that, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, but that's why I'm asking, because there's a lot of, I think, uncertainty for CEOs, for business owners. They want to know,
See, I don't
are
think
these
there is
tariffs
uncertainty.
permanent?
I think there's only uncertainty in the fake news. I don't think there's uncertainty.
Motherfucker, you are the reason why there's uncertainty. You were like, we're putting tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Never mind, we're not doing it. We're putting tariffs on China. Never mind, we're not doing it. We're putting tariffs on the EU. Never mind, we're not doing it. Brother, you are the reason why there is unpredictability and uncertainty and fucking chaos. Even the average rich man fucking hates you. The only people who are benefiting from the Trump administration are the actual billionaires. Not like the small business owners who are like millionaires. Those people invest their money in the stock market. And there's no predictability anymore under the Führer. That's why everyone fucking hates you, you orange mango Mussolini piece of shit.
I mean, I've been very rigid, very strong on it, but I will say I'm flexible. Like with respect to parts made outside of the country, I gave the automobile companies a little extra time. You know, you're talking about 15% and then 10% of the parts put in a car. I gave them a little extra time without penalizing them. And I did that only to help, you know, companies. We're looking to help companies. We want them to thrive and to hire a lot of people, and that's what's happening.
Let me ask you about some of what Wall Street has said. Some people on Wall Street have expressed concerns that the possibility of a recession is increasing. And I want to know what...
Bitch, we're in a fucking recession. It's not the possibility of a recession. It's the possibility of a depression. We are moving into territory that is worse than the 1929 Great Depression.
You think about that. Are you comfortable with the country potentially dipping into a recession for a period of time if you are able to achieve your long-term goals?
Well, you know, you say some people on Wall Street say, well, I tell you something else. Some people on Wall Street say that we're going to have the greatest economy in history. Why don't you talk about them? Because some people on Wall
Give me their names. Tell me one fucking economist who says that we're going to have the greatest economy in history. Name one fucking person, Donald.
Street say this is
well,
the
that's what I'm
greatest thing
getting
that
at.
ever
That's
happened.
what I'm getting at, though. It's
There are
the
many
same
people,
question.
Yeah, there are many people on Wall Street say this is going to be the greatest windfall ever happened.
And that's my question.
Remember
the
this.
long term.
Yeah.
Is it okay in the short term to have a
Remember
recession?
this. Look, yes,
Look?
everything's okay.
Yeah? Yeah? There we go. All right. Clip that. Hey, MAGA. Your fucking Führer just said it's okay for you to live through a temporary recession in order for things to get better. That's your Führer. That's who you champion. That's who you cheer for and call daddy because you have a homoerotic relationship with a 78-year-old man. That's who you call daddy. The man who's going to fucking destroy your life. Unbelievable. And they will cheer because these fucking bootlicking cultists can't think for themselves.
We are. I said this is a transition period. I think we're going to do fantastically. One of your colleagues on another fake news station, ABC, said, do you guarantee 100% that a certain person is going to do a fantastic job as, let's say, Secretary of Defense, okay? Because that was the question. I said, what kind of a question is that? Do I guarantee 100%? Nobody guarantees 100%. But I will say this. I think we're going to have an economy the likes of which we've never had before.
That's true.
You know, my 4 years were phenomenal, as you know, the stock market. In fact, even though we had to go through the COVID thing, that horrible situation with COVID, we did numbers, and when I gave it over, when I handed it over, the election was rigged, and because of that, we have a lot of problems, by the way. But when I handed it over, what happened? The market was higher than it was just previous to COVID coming in. Yeah. Nobody could believe it. The stock market I'm talking about.
I don't want to look back, but you did take your case to court about that.
Back.
You took your case to court about your allegations against the election. Let me ask you.
And every single one of his court cases he lost. Are you not going to bring up the fact that every single court case he brought up, like 34 different court cases to say the election was rigged, he lost in every single one?
There's no question about it. The election was rigged. The facts are in, and it's
If you still believe the election was rigged, you're mentally disabled.
being litigated. Let's go.
You did take your case to court more than 60 times and didn't
More than
win those
60
cases.
times.
Just to button that up, though, sir. Just to button that up.
What are you talking about?
How
the election
worried are you?
Are we talking about the election
Let's
of
talk about
2020?
here and now. Let's talk about
The
here and
election
now.
of 2020?
Let's not talk about. Let's talk about here and now. Are you worried about a recession?
No.
Okay.
No.
He
No, I
just
think
said
we're
there's
gonna
going to
have
be
the
one.
greatest economic.
I mean, are you worried it could happen? Do you think it could happen?
Anything can happen, but I think we're going to have the greatest economy in the history of our country. I think we're going to have the greatest economic boom in history.
Let me ask you about this call to Amazon founder Jeff Bezos.
Bro, this is always the same. We're going to have the best. We're going to have the best. We're going to have the best. Bro, you have to be mentally stunted to fucking still support this man. I understand supporting Donald Trump during the campaign because campaign Trump and President Trump are two different fucking people. But in order for you to still proudly support this man, you need to be mentally fucking stunted.
This week in response to a report that Amazon was going to display tariff costs next to product prices. Are you going to punish CEOs who increase their prices because of tariffs?
I think what is a great misnomer is the word tariff in many cases. It's not, to me, I don't view it as a tax. I view it as an incentive for people to come into the United States and build plants, factories, offices, a lot of things.
Oh, that's great that you don't consider it a tax. What about the fact that it increases the price of the good? You fucking dumbass.
Things. I think it's an incentive, but the thing that's not known is if you look back and see, oftentimes like China or Vietnam or other countries, not just China, because China's an abuser, but there are other abusers. Many of them are friends, the so-called, I say friend and foe, and friend is oftentimes worse than foe. But what people don't understand is, and this is a lot, the country eats the tariff. The company eats the tariff.
What?
And it's not passed along at all.
Well, some CEOs are saying they're going to.
What? You're claiming that the wealthy, the CEOs, the billionaires, are just gonna pay the increased price and we'll take care of it. You know, we're out of the goodness of our heart because we're so selfless and gracious. We're just not gonna increase the price of our goods despite the fact that it costs more to import them. Again, if you believe that, I've got a prince in Kenya who you should talk to. Because he's looking for a couple of $1,000, and apparently you are entitled to all of that land.
To have to pass it on. So how do you deal with those CEOs?
But the company,
how do you deal with those CEOs?
China is eating the tariffs right now.
What do you say to those CEOs who are saying we might have to pass this on to the consumer?
Well, they say that because maybe it's to their advantage to say it.
Will
Maybe
you punish them?
No, because you know what? I want them to build plants in the United States. That way they don't have any tariffs. See, tariffs will, and not only will, look at what's happened. In 2 months, we're close to $9 trillion of investment. We've never been anywhere near that.
What did you say to Jeff Bezos?
He's just a very nice guy. We have a relationship. I asked him about it. He said, well, I don't want to do that. And he took it off immediately.
So he changed course. And will you take that
I bet, Donald. I fucking bet.
same tactic with other CEOs if you
I'll
feel
always
like
call people if I disagree with them.
you'll...
If I think that somebody's doing something that's incorrect, wrong, or maybe hurtful to the country, I'll call, absolutely. Wouldn't you want me to call? Biden wouldn't call because he didn't know what was happening, but I do.
Takes me to my next question. Today's strong jobs report likely means, not clear, but likely means the Fed is less likely to lower interest rates.
Well, he should lower them. And
He should?
At some point he will.
He? The Fed? He? Does he think the Fed is a man? He thinks the Federal Reserve is a man. He thinks the Federal Reserve is a person. There's a guy. Dude, there's no one guy who speaks for the entire Federal Reserve. I understand they have representatives. But this is not like an appointed position where one man gets to speak for the entire fucking Federal Reserve.
He'd rather not because he's not a fan of mine. Not, he just doesn't like me because I think he's a total stiff. And, it's just one of those things. He should lower them. And I wish the people that are on that board would
he knows
get him
it's a
to
board.
lower because...
Okay, he knows it's a board. I was worried this guy thought there was like one fucking man standing up to him as if like, I don't know, if he thinks like it's its own fucking position like a president.
Perfect time. It's already late, but he should lower interest rates.
Do you rule out removing Fed Chair Jerome Powell?
I'm not, I get to change him very quickly anyway. It's in a very short period of time.
In 2026?
So, yes.
You're not going to remove, you don't have plans to remove him before 2026 when his time's up?
That was a total, why would I do that? I get to replace the person in another short period of time.
Okay. This week, you reshuffled your national security team.
Yeah.
You moved National Security Advisor Mike Waltz to UN ambassador. Just to remind our viewers, Waltz, of course, started that unsecured text chain where sensitive information was shared. Mr. President, was that move a punishment?
No. I just think he'll do a nice job in the new position.
It wasn't a punishment. Trump did exactly what the Catholic Church does when a priest is caught touching a child. Rather than actually punish the priest, they shuffle the cards. They get one priest from over here to move in, and they move this guy to a completely different area, and they never mention it again. That's what he did with Mike Waltz. Because Mike Waltz is so fucking stupid, he actually invited in the Atlantic editor into the group chat in Signalgate, and then Pete Hegseth added in his wife and all that shit. Rather than punish him, he just moved him to a different position, and they're never going to speak of it again, and there will be no fucking consequences. That's what they're doing.
Marco's doing an outstanding job. No, Marco won't keep. Marco's very busy doing
W.
other
Porter,
things,
W.
so he's not
Porter,
gonna keep
W.
it the
Porter.
long term. We're going to put somebody else in. But I think Mike, who's as you know, he's a fine guy, and I think he'll do a very good job. Knows the countries, knows leadership, and I think he'll do a very good job at the United Nations. And in the meantime, Marco's really doing something special.
Little Marco.
And it's going to work out very well.
We're hearing some potential names. Stephen Miller's name, one of your long...
What? We're talking Goebbels as NSA? Dude, if we get fucking Stephen Miller as a national security advisor, we actually may all fucking perish. That is a Nazi. That's a Nazi. That's Joseph Goebbels. That's Joseph fucking Goebbels. Who is Stephen Miller? Who is Stephen Miller? This motherfucker. This motherfucker. This guy. This guy! This fucking guy! Oh my God. That's their worst man. That is the worst man in the regime.
AIDS, his name has been talked about as a potential national security advisor. Is he someone you're looking at?
Well, I'd love to have Stephen there, but that would be a downgrade. Stephen's very...
He's the propaganda minister. He's orchestrated over 928 Trump rallies over the past 8 years. He really is the propaganda minister. I mean, he's so good where he is.
Higher in the totem pole than that, in my opinion.
Can you tell us who the front runner is right now?
I have a lot of people that want it. I will tell you, I have everybody calling. Everybody wants to be a part of this.
I actually just got a phone call from Beelzebub, and he's interested in the position, and he's got good qualifications.
So at some point we'll, probably do that. There's a theory, Henry Kissinger did both. There's a theory that you don't need two people, but...
Brother, are you about to say that Henry Kissinger was a good man?
I think I have some really great people that could do a good job.
So Secretary Rubio could continue to have both jobs indefinitely?
He could, yeah, he could. But I think he even would like to probably see, because it is a little bit different. But in the meantime, he'll handle it. And I think Mike, if that goes forward, he still has to get approved. But I think Mike will do a very good job at the United Nations.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, obviously also on that unsecured text chain. He was sharing sensitive information. Are you looking for a new Secretary of Defense?
No, not even a little bit. No. Pete's going to be great.
Why don't you ask the Houthis how he's doing?
Fantastic job against the Houthis, who like blowing ships up and watching them sink in the ocean. We're hitting him very hard. No, he's doing a very good job.
His job is safe right now.
I love how we're just like at war in Yemen and nobody's talking about this. I know the Houthis are a terrorist organization, and when you label, when you're fighting against a terrorist organization, you don't need Congress's approval. But like, what are we talking about right now? We're talking about like F-22s, fucking firing missiles with pilots. We're talking about drone strikes. Like, brother, that's war. These are the same people who argue that the Vietnam War wasn't a war. It was actually just a military conflict. Tell that to the fucking 50,000 dead U.S. troops and the millions of dead Vietnamese, you piece of shit. This, like, we're at war in Yemen right now. What the fuck?
Really safe.
Okay, let's talk about the border.
Okay.
Let's talk about deportations. Border crossings are at their lowest level ever recorded. Is the border?
Is that good?
Is the border now secure?
Yeah, it's really secure.
Oh, okay. So if the border's secure, you're not going to invoke the Insurrection Act of 1807, right? We're no longer being invaded, right?
When you say that, doesn't that just sound good? After being abused for years by an incompetent president that allowed people to pour through an open border, criminals from all over the world, murderers and insane people from mental institutions and insane asylums.
Bold lie.
Isn't it a beautiful thing when you say it's the most secure it's ever been in the history of our country? Isn't that a nice statement?
Well, I'm curious to know what it means. You declared a national emergency on the southern border. The order is still in place.
By the way,
even
it
though
means
you're saying
exactly
the border's
what you
secure.
said. It means we have the most secure border we've ever had.
Well, and I guess the question becomes, when will you know that the emergency is over? Are you planning to lift it at some point? Is it necessary? Because obviously the military is involved. Will you lift that emergency?
Well, the biggest emergency is the courts aren't allowing us to take really.
We're going to talk about that, but talk to me first about this.
That's to me the emergency.
Talk to me first about this.
The border
emergency.
now is not the emergency. The border is it's all part of the same thing, though. The big emergency right now is that we have thousands of people that we want to take out, and we have some judges that want everybody to go to
Some
court.
of them you appointed.
And we have some judges that want everybody to go to court, is what he just said, and that's the problem? That's the law. You're the president of the United States advocating for the dismantling of the judicial system. This is why I say anybody and everybody who still supports Donald Trump is a fascist. It might be your father, it might be your brother, it might be your sister, it might be your grandmother. They may be too stupid to know that they're a fascist. Doesn't make them any less of a fucking fascist.
Sir, including
That's all right.
three on the Supreme Court.
They change. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how that happens, but they do change.
Just to button this up, though, are you planning to lift that emergency order anytime soon? Now that the border's secure?
We have an emergency. We have a massive emergency.
No. Why would I get rid of more power? I have so much power. Why would I get rid of my emergency power? This is what I'm doing. I'm using wartime powers to allocate as much as I can to the presidency so that I can become a fucking dictator.
An overall emergency on immigration. And if the courts don't allow us to take people out, if we had to have a court case, every single person, we have millions of people. We're going to have millions of court cases. Figure 2 weeks a court case, it would be 300 years.
So let's.
Do you think we do one court case in this nation at a time? You stupid fuck? Do you think we do one court case at a time, and once one is over, we start the next? And his fucking followers will cheer. They will cheer for this. This is the dismantling of the Constitution. It is time to invoke the 25th Amendment and remove him from office. He needs to be arrested. This is a violation of the Constitution, the very Constitution that he swore under oath to uphold.
Let's talk about this, because obviously you've had a back and forth with the Supreme Court. In a 9-0 decision, the Supreme Court directed your administration to facilitate the return, you've talked about this in the past, of Kilmar Abrego Garcia from a prison in El Salvador, whose deportation your administration called an administrative error. You said in a recent interview you could bring him back, but you won't. Are you defying the Supreme Court?
Yes,
no, I'm
he is.
relying on the Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi, who's very capable, doing a great job, because I'm not involved in the legality or the illegality. I have lawyers to do that, and that's why I have...
You're the president of the United States. The buck stops with you. Who are your lawyers? Because you're the one bitching and moaning about the auto pen for Joe Biden, and you're saying you don't even know because you have lawyers? They're the fucking president then. They're the co-presidents. Who the fuck? What the fuck?
have a great DOJ. We have a great one. We had a very corrupt one before. Now we have a great one. And they're not viewing the decision the way you said it. They don't view it that way at all. They think it's a totally different decision.
Well, you say you have the power to bring him back, though. Your attorney general says, quote, that's up to El Salvador. Just to put a fine point on this, do you have the power to bring Abrego Garcia back as the Supreme Court?
Well, I have
ordered?
the power to ask for him to come back if I'm instructed by the attorney general that it's legal to do so. But the decision as to whether or not he should come back will be the head of El Salvador. He's a very capable man.
Oh, so you're a weak little bitch and you are at the behest of Nayib Bukele, an authoritarian dictator of El Salvador. That's what you're saying, Donald? You're saying you actually don't have the power and that you're a weak little fucking beta bitch? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you know, and your attorney general has said it, the issue is with that word facilitate. Will you seek clarification from the Supreme Court? Do you need to go back to the Supreme Court?
We may do that. I was asking about that. We may do that. There are some people that say, bring him back, put him in trial, and you get him out right away because you see what happens.
Sure! Bring him back and give him due process. And if after due process under the law, you have concrete evidence and you prove this man is an illegal immigrant and a member of MS-13 and a violent gang member, sure, go ahead, deport him. First of all, not to CCOT. That's a fucking extermination camp. But why is giving him due process impossible?
This morning, tapes came out, horrible tapes from his wife. You don't get much worse than that. You don't get, I mean, he seems certainly like a very dangerous, very bad person, but even the wife who was so afraid, she was afraid to talk, and all of a sudden tapes got released this morning that were devastating to him.
And this
Brother
is the
is
point,
talking
sir.
about how previously his wife had filed like a restraining order because she was worried he was going to get violent, and then immediately pulled back on it, and is now the most vocal person for bringing him home. They got through whatever fucking abuse they were going through. And even if, brother, you're on your fifth fucking wife. You cheated on your wife with a porn star and then paid her hush money and then got your lawyer thrown in prison for trying to hide the story. What? You have no fucking leg to stand on, mein Führer.
About due process. The Constitution says every person, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process.
Here we go.
Why not push to have him come back, present all of that evidence in court, let a judge decide?
Well, I'll leave that to the lawyers, and I'll leave that to the Attorney General of the United States,
But
because
do you
they're
agree?
in it.
Hey, MAGA. I thought this was the president. I thought this was the president. What? Let me play this again.
Was so afraid, she was afraid to talk.
Hey, MAGA,
and all
I
of a
thought this was
sudden,
the
tapes
president.
got released this morning that were devastating to him.
And this is the point, sir, about due process. The Constitution says every person, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process. Why not push to have him come back, present all of that evidence in court, let a judge decide?
Well, I'll leave that to the lawyers, and I'll leave that to the Attorney General of the United States,
But do you
because they're in
agree?
it.
25th
You have to
Amendment.
understand, I'm dealing with Russia and Ukraine. I'm dealing
And we're
with
gonna talk
China.
about that.
I'm dealing with Iran. I'm dealing with Rwanda and Congo, who are fighting, and we're trying to get that one straightened out, and I think we have done that. Did a great job. Nobody even talks about it, but I think we're close to doing that.
Chatter just says he's an illegal man. First of all, there's no evidence that Kilmar Abrego Garcia is an illegal immigrant. Second of all, even if you are an illegal immigrant, you are entitled to due process under the law. It says in the United States Constitution that all persons within the United States are entitled to due process under the law. If you disagree with that, you are an anti-American, treasonous piece of shit. Much like our
They're
president.
looking like they're going to maybe make a peace deal, which would be good. But I'm dealing with a lot of different things. I don't know much about this gentleman other than I hear he's an absolute not good person. And
no, you're not, brother. Only citizens. Incorrect. You don't know the Constitution, and I do. Go read it.
Very capable legal people, John Sauer, as you know, and all top people. And I have to rely on that to interpret whatever's said by the Supreme Court. Now, with that being said, I have tremendous respect for the Supreme Court.
No, you
Three
don't.
of the people are people I appointed.
Right.
And I have great respect for the Supreme Court. And I would expect that the Attorney General will be doing the right thing.
Your Secretary of State says everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process. Do you agree, Mr. President?
I don't know.
Chatter says, well, who cares? They're illegal. This is why we are all intellectually superior to you, and your ideology needs to die off with Hitler.
I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Well, the Fifth Amendment says
I don't know. It seems.
Yeah, the Fifth Amendment says
might-
that all persons in the United States are entitled to due process under the law. The President of the United States doesn't know this because he's never read the Constitution, and now his dumbass bootlicking cultist followers, such as Kent, go, yeah, well, who cares? They're illegal. Well, fuck due process. If you don't believe that all people deserve due process, then you don't believe that anybody deserves due process. Guess what, Kent? You're an undocumented immigrant. Fuck you. Prove that you're not. Oh, just kidding. There's no due process for undocumented immigrants. And now that I've labeled you an undocumented immigrant, you can't go to court and prove it under a court of law. But you're going to go, well, I have my papers. Yeah, well, where are you going to prove that those papers are real? A court of law. You stupid fuck! You could commit a murder with an axe and be caught red-handed, axe in the fucking head. And guess what? You still go to court. You plead guilty. You say, I did it, Your Honor. It's called due process. If you disagree with this, you're an anti-American, treasonous piece of shit.
I'd say that, but if you're talking about that, then we'd have to have
Same
a
chatter
million
just
or
also
2
just said they
million.
only go after the illegals, man. They just deported a 2-year-old U.S. citizen and his 4-year-old brother. You're fucking wrong.
3 million trials. We have thousands of people that are some murderers and some drug dealers and some of the worst people on earth. Some of the worst, most dangerous people on earth. And I was elected to get them the hell out of here, and the courts are holding me from doing it.
But even given those numbers,
Thank you for the $20 donation from Tim the Food Dude. I want to watch and support you, but I can't physically listen to Trump's voice without cringing in pain, so I'll leave this here and leave. Thank you very much for the $20. I really appreciate you. W. Tim.
Don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know.
What? Oh my God. All right, hold on. There is a MAGA rat in here. Hey, MAGA rat, watch this. Hey, Kent, stupid fucking MAGA rat, watch this and cheer for it. We all know you fucking will, cultist.
From doing it.
Watch this.
Even given those numbers that you're talking about, don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know.
Hey, cultist. Hey, Kent. Hey, cultist. You agree, right? That you don't know whether the President of the United States has to uphold the Constitution, right? You don't know, you stupid fuck.
I have to respond by saying again, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me, and they are going to obviously follow what the Supreme Court said.
And his response is, who cares? Yes, this is why I'm saying I'm quite literally superior to you. Please do not repopulate. You are a waste of oxygen. You're an oxygen thief.
Is not what I heard the Supreme Court said. They have a different interpretation.
Is anyone in your administration right now in contact with El Salvador about returning Abrego Garcia to the United States?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the Attorney General that question.
Okay. At least 2 Americans have been mistakenly detained and released by your administration, immigration authorities. Mr. President, should lawful residents of this country start carrying paperwork with them when they leave their homes?
I don't think that'll be necessary, but what you're not saying is that many people have been killed, maimed, badly hurt by illegal immigrants that came over that are from prisons and from jails and from mental institutions, and they're hurting our people.
Chatter says sometimes we have to go around the Constitution to save our great nation. Stop calling yourself an American. You're quite literally antithetical to the Constitution. You're a traitor to this nation, and you deserve to be arrested.
And if we don't get them out, we're not going to have a country for long.
And also, Kent, you're an undocumented immigrant. You need to be afraid that you're going to be rounded up. Kent is literally an undocumented immigrant.
Honest?
Yeah.
We need honest media, and we need walls. We need to have borders. And by the way, I built a lot of walls, and if we didn't do that, we wouldn't be able to have those. You know, we would not be able to have the kind of numbers if I wasn't successful in building hundreds of miles of wall.
Very quickly, sir, the last time you and I spoke in December, you said that you would consider working on getting Dreamers legal status. Dreamers, of course, those who were brought here illegally as children. Where do those efforts stand? Is that a priority for you?
Well, it's not a
Kent, I don't know why you're speaking to me. You're an undocumented immigrant. Stop speaking.
priority for the Democrats, because every time we talk about it, they don't want to talk about it because I guess they like it as a political issue, but they're not good at political issues because they still want to have men playing women's sports.
Well, Republicans do control Congress right now, Mr. President.
But the Democrats
Are you going to
don't.
make Dreamers a priority?
Well,
Chatter, you say you're not an undocumented immigrant? Prove it. Prove you're not an undocumented immigrant. Watch, he's still not going to get the fucking point. It's going to fly right over his head because he's a fucking Trump voter. These dumb motherfuckers.
For that, you would need to have support from Democrats.
He says, got my papers. Where are you going to bring those papers to prove it? A court of law? Your papers are fake, by the way. I know we're taking a quick veer away from the video for those who are watching this pre-recorded. Kent, your papers are fake. Kent, those are fake papers. You bought them online.
Have no support from the Democrats.
Have you had any discussions about Dreamers?
Yeah, we've had discussions. I want to do something. I'd love to put in beautiful immigration for everybody, but the Democrats don't want to approve anything. All they want to do is...
No, they ain't. They're by the U.S. government. No, Kent, those are fake papers. You have fake papers. You're an undocumented immigrant and you traffic fentanyl across the border. These are all accusations that I've made against you. Would you like to go to court and prove that I'm lying? Would you like due process under the law before you get deported? Would you like to prove that you're not an undocumented immigrant? Would you like to prove that you're not an undocumented immigrant?
Knock out a tax bill. We're trying to get approved right now, the biggest tax cut in the history of our country.
Let's go to court then. Oh, okay, finally, we got him. So, Kent, you support due process under the law, right, Kent? You want due process because I've accused you of a crime, right? He's still not going to get the point because these are the stupidest people in the United States of America. He is a member of the stupidest portion of Americans. So you want due process, right? You want due process, right, Himbo Chud? You want due process, right, Himbo Chud? But for me, because I'm an American. No, you're not. You're not an American. You're not an American. You're an undocumented immigrant, Kent. You're not an American. You're not an American.
Approved. It's
but I am an American. I got the paper to prove it. You stupid fucking inbred.
a 68% tax increase, and that's
I'm
what
no
the
longer going to
Democrats
be
want. They want
pausing
a
it to talk to this dumb motherfucker. He's far too stupid for me to interact with.
68% tax increase. It's rather incredible.
And I do want to talk to you about your legislation, but let's talk about DOJ.
And also,
very
I know some
quickly.
of you are going to go, damn, Chris, you're harsh. Why are you bullying this guy? Because every single MAGA voter that currently supports Donald Trump needs to be fucking bullied into submission. They are the stupidest portion of the United States of America, and they are quite literally destroying democracy. This dumb motherfucker, Kent, has advocated to dismantle the United States Constitution in order to save our great nation. He's quite literally a treasonous bastard.
DOJ has fired and then rehired thousands of federal workers, including FAA employees in charge of aviation safety.
No, don't get rid of them. I want someone to
specialists
point
working
and
on
laugh at.
nuclear weapon safety. What do you say to those who believe Elon Musk's chainsaw approach has jeopardized the safety and security of Americans?
Well, they found $160 billion worth of fraud.
Yeah, we took that
Waste of
money
youth.
out of Social Security and USAID and the VA and SNAP and Meals on Wheels.
I mean, I think he's done an amazing job. I think his people have done an incredible job. They're brilliant people. They know the computer. I actually asked him, what's their big trait? He said they're unbelievable at computers. In other words, you can't fake them out because these people were, in many cases, crooks. But it was fraud, waste, and abuse. They found your question should be asked a different way.
I don't like your question. You should phrase it differently. You should only be asking me easy questions.
Were certain things found? Yes. How much? $160 billion. Think of what $160 billion is. He found $160.
He said he'd find $2 trillion.
Well, we're not finished yet. We're not finished
Do you
yet.
think the work continues even though he's leaving?
Course.
He said
sure. He's leaving behind some very brilliant people. They were on television last night. They're super high IQ people. I like high IQ people. The Democrats don't have many of them.
Brother,
Let me
you're
ask you
fucking brain
about
dead.
some news that broke. You are threatening to rescind Harvard's tax-exempt status.
Yeah.
And yet directing the IRS to investigate and rescind a university's tax-exempt status is contrary to what's in the federal law. The law.
He doesn't care about law. He's a rapist and he's committed 34 felonies. He tried to overthrow the United States government on January 6th of 2021. He's a criminal through and through.
Law says you can't do this. Do you think you're following the law?
Well, I tell you, I'm going to just follow what the lawyers say. They say that we're allowed to do that, and I'm all for it. But everything I say is subject to the laws being 100% adhered to.
Lie.
Are you willing to take this to court if it becomes a court fight? You're gonna
Sure.
take it that far?
We've won a lot of cases.
All right, let's talk about some of the other actions you've taken over the past 100 days. Last month, you directed your Attorney General, Pam Bondi, to review 2 people who you perceived to be your political adversaries. And yet you told me in December that you would not direct the Justice Department to investigate your political foes. What changed?
Well, no, I just look at people, and I'm not directing anybody.
Well, no,
They
I
looked at these
lied.
people.
I fucking lied.
They might have known it, or they might have heard it from 2 years ago. One person said, he knew me so well. He was, I think, on CNN or MSDNC, but they're both failing networks. You're happy to know, even though one of them, I guess, is related to you in one form or another, although they're trying to cut him loose as fast as possible. But it was well known that this one person, it was almost like he was my brother. I don't even know who he is. Maybe he was there. Maybe he was in the Oval Office a few times as a surrogate for, somebody in some form of government, along with 25 other people that sat in the back of the room or stood in the back of a room. I have no idea who this guy is. And he's out there. And then he did a book called Anonymous.
Brother, what the fuck are you talking about? Just who the fuck are you talking about?
Did a book called
Say
Anonymous.
their name.
I think that's really subversion. I think it's spying. It's something really bad.
But you passed
And
an
I think
executive
he's-
order
no,
calling for
I
your
think
Attorney
he's
General
been
to
looked
investigate
at
that.
for a long time. And the other one said that the election was so wonderful. It was such a, well, it turned out it wasn't a wonderful election. It was a corrupt election.
Let me ask it this way, sir, because when we talked in December, I asked you, what is your message to people who didn't vote for you? Let me remind you of what you said. You said,
Fuck you, you're stupid, I hate you.
love you, and we're going to all work together. How does pursuing your political foes help to unify
Did I really
the
say I
country?
love you?
You really did. That's a direct quote.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right, but I'd like to
I
see.
promise I'll show it to you. I'll show you
Because
the
I
tape.
don't, because I fucking hate them.
How does that help to
I
unify
want to
the
treat
country?
people fairly, whether they voted for me or not. I want to have a unified country. It's very hard because the media is so fake, including, like, even the way you ask questions. Every question is asked in a negative vein.
Because you're a
there's
fucking
toy
terrible president, my guy.
company that took a toddler's, whatever, but you don't talk about the fact that gasoline is down at numbers that nobody believes
Because that's a lie.
possible. You know why they're down, by the way?
They're
drill,
not.
Baby, drill. We're drilling like crazy right now.
We try to make sure every question is fair, Mr.
Well,
President.
Look, every question you ask says a very negative slant.
Because you
but
suck.
I'm just
And
curious.
I'm
you
fine for responding to you. I don't think you're very difficult at all to respond to be honest with you. But you know what? You should ask some positive things like, sir, it's amazing what you've done with gasoline. Because you know what? Gasoline's big business. A stroll.
That's not a question, Donald. That's just a compliment. You want everyone to blow smoke up your ass, you narcissistic, fat, orange piece of shit, toupee, fake hair looking motherfucker.
Is not big business.
To this question, Mr. President, you said you wanted to unify the country. Does going after political foes undercut that goal?
No, not at all. No, we want honest people.
No, not at all. If you disagree with me, I'm gonna throw you in fucking CCOT.
Okay.
I think you have to do that. We want honest people in this country.
Let me ask you big picture. People who have lived in countries like the Philippines, Hungary, Russia, they look at some of your actions going after civil service, going after universities, law firms, the media. They say it's out of an authoritarian playbook.
It is.
What do you say to those who believe you are taking the country down an authoritarian path?
Well, there you go again. Why don't you ask it a different way? Many people wanted to come into our country. Many people love Trump. I won the election. They didn't win the election. I got a lot more votes than they did. I won the popular vote. I won all 7 swing states by a lot. A lot of people were surprised. I said, I think you could win 4, maybe 5. No, I won all 7, and I won by a lot. And I won, actually, I think there was a lot of hanky-panky going on, but it was...
The question was, are you becoming an authoritarian dictator? And you didn't say no.
Too big to rig. That's the good news. It's too big to rig. But let me just say, so when you make these statements about, people say this, people, well, you know, they had their chance at the election and they lost big. So you should ask the question differently.
So because you won the election, you're just going to become an authoritarian dictator?
You should say, what about the people that want to be in this country? What about the people that love this country?
But what do you say? I'm asking it on behalf of those people to give you a chance to respond to them. What do you say to those people, sir?
Those people are going to be very happy. They're going to have to see some results. And I think we had a great 100 days. There are a lot of people that say it was unprecedented.
Here, I'll answer for you the way you should have, Donald. What do I say to those people who... What do I say? I say, no, I'm not an authoritarian dictator. You don't even know what a dictator looks like. I am the president of the United States. I was elected democratically. I support democracy, and I will never become a dictator. Lie. You already lie all the time. Why not lie now? You want to know why he's not lying? Because his cult followers will support him. He doesn't need to say, if he says, no, I don't want to become a dictator, they will be upset. They want a dictator. You saw that stupid fuck Kent say Trump 2028. These people have forsaken American values. They have forsaken the Constitution. They care about nothing and nobody other than Trump. They would allow Trump to fuck their wife, and then they'd kiss him after. That's what they do. That's what they would do.
It was an absolutely unprecedented 100 days, and I hope that they're going to be right.
Do you see dissent as an essential part of democracy?
He doesn't know what dissent means.
Democracy.
He doesn't know what dissent means.
Is it an important part of democracy?
Yeah, you're always going to have, Kristen, you're always going to have dissent. There's nothing you're going to do about that. Am I going to get 100% unified? It would be a strange place. I can't even imagine it where 100%. Look, you have people that are good people. They're very smart people. And they honestly believe we should have open borders and the entire world should be allowed to pour into our country.
Name one person.
I think it's a 95-5 issue, but...
Name one Democrat politician who actually says that we should have 100% open borders and no fucking, no regulation, no sort of migration process, just let them in. Name one Democrat politician.
They believe it. They're not even bad people. Some of them are bad. You have people that honestly believe that men should be allowed to play in women's sports. Some of these people, I don't know any. I haven't been able to find any, but they exist. They say it's an 80-20 issue.
Yeah,
I
you haven't been
believe
able
that.
to find any because it doesn't exist. Dude, I advocate for trans rights, and you think that I'm saying, yeah, men should be able to play in women's sports. That's not what the fuck anybody who's an ally is saying. You stupid fuck. Even, dude, that's less than 2% of the population. We're in a recession and you're at war.
I think it's a 97-3 issue.
Do you think people should have the right to criticize you without fear of reprisal?
Absolutely, yeah, I do. That I do.
And how do you square
Great.
that?
Then why are you trying to get rid of New York Times versus Sullivan? Why are you actively trying to make it illegal to criticize your administration? Why are you actively trying to pass laws that make it illegal to meme you, to make you into a meme? These are all things that he's doing.
That happens.
How do you square that with the fact that you have passed these executive orders asking the Attorney General to look into some of the people who've criticized you, who've been harshest against you?
I have been investigated more than any person in the history of the United States of America. I've been investigated more than the late, great, as I say at my rallies, Alphonse Capone. Alphonse Capone was a
Real quick, this is the only man on planet Earth who calls Al Capone Alphonse Capone. Why? Because this man was actually like raised by a mafia lawyer, Roy Cohn. Notoriously, Roy Cohn was the lawyer who represented, what the fuck is his name? It was during the Red Scare. I forgot the guy's name. The guy from the Red Scare, the one who held up the little black book. And then Roy Cohn also represented mafia members. Like Donald Trump actually looks up to Al Capone. McCarthy, thank you, Joseph McCarthy. Donald Trump looks up to Al Capone, which is why he refers to him by his full government name. And just like Al Capone, Donald Trump's brain is starting to fucking melt in the late stage of his life.
Nasty man. He was the highest level gangster. And I have been investigated more than Al Capone, more than anybody. These people are evil people. And I won. And I'll tell you what, all I want to happen is for the Department of Justice and the FBI. Pam is great and Cash is great. I think they're two great people. But they're their own people. They want to do a fantastic job. And all I want to do and all I want to ask for is that they be allowed to do their job. I'm not telling them to do anything, and I believe I have the right to do it. I'm, in theory, the top law enforcement officer as the president. We went over this once before, and it turned out I was right. But I'm not looking to use that. We have two great people, and we have many, many incredible people under them, and I just want them to do their job and do it well.
Let me ask you about something I don't think you've been asked much about, which is you've branded your own cryptocurrency.
Here we go.
The coin's values actually surged recently after you announced that top holders would be invited to have dinner.
I don't even know that. What did it surge to?
What did it surge to?
Yeah, what's it worth? You might as well tell me, because I have no idea.
Well, it surged. It surged. I will find it. Hold on one second. 5.2 or 58%. So 58%.
To what number?
That's not bad. 14.32.
What? Billion?
No, dollars per cryptocurrency.
$1 billion?
No.
What's the number? I mean, what is the amount?
The meme coin's value hit a peak of 75.35 on January 19th.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
And that's before your inauguration, and then it surged.
Look, I'm in favor of crypto.
Okay.
What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on?
But let me just ask you, what do you say to those who argue that when they hear that, they worry you're profiting from the presidency?
I'm not profiting from anything. All I'm doing is...
Chatter says, I don't see the problem with Trump. Why do you hate him? If you don't see the problem with Trump yet, you're in a fucking cult, dude. There's absolutely nothing anybody can say to you. He just said that he doesn't know whether or not he has to uphold the Constitution. He just said that he doesn't believe everybody in the United States is entitled to due process. This motherfucker raped a woman named Jean Carroll. Like, I can't help you. If you still support Donald Trump, you're a fucking idiot, dog. I can't help you.
You know, I started this long before the election. I want crypto. I think crypto is important because if we don't do it, China's going to. Mm-hmm. And it's new. Mm-hmm. It's very popular. Mm-hmm. It's very hot. If you look at the market, when the market went down, that stayed much stronger than other aspects of the market. But I want crypto because a lot of people, you know, millions of people want it. I don't know if you know that Biden went after it violently, and then before the election, he changed his tune entirely. His head of the SEC, everybody changed their tune. You know why? Because there were hundreds of millions of people that are participating in crypto, and they wanted to get their votes.
So you're not profiting off of the cryptocurrency?
I haven't even looked.
Has your family?
I'll tell you what. Look, if I own stock in something and I do a good job, and the stock market goes up, I guess I'm profiting. But who really profits is somebody like Nancy Pelosi, who uses inside information. She worked for 100.
You mean like fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene? And also, yeah, Nancy Pelosi is an insider trader. She's a fucking piece of shit.
$175,000 a year, and that's at the high end. And she's worth $150, $200 million. Okay, you ought to look at.
Why I just said I'm a Trump supporter, but I'm open-minded. Real quick, I know this is going to veer off for the people who are watching this pre-recorded on YouTube. Wyatt, I'm going to tell you a couple of things that are irrefutable fact, and you're going to tell me how you think about it. Donald Trump said he wants to deport U.S. citizens to the slave labor camp called CCOT in El Salvador. Do you support the Trump regime despite the fact that they want to illegally deport U.S. citizens to a slave labor camp? Do you still support the Trump regime? Do you? Yes or no? Be quick with it. Do you still support the Trump regime? Be quick with it. After finding that out, because I'm sure you didn't know this. Do you still support them? Come on. Come on. Come on. Yes. Okay, you're an idiot.
Nancy Pelosi, and you ought to look at some of these politicians that are stone cold crooks.
If deporting U.S. citizens isn't a line that when he crosses, you no longer support him, there's nothing that he can possibly do that will ever make you stop supporting him. You probably are fine with him getting a third term as well. You're probably fine with no due process. You're probably fine with fucking everything he does. I can't help you. You're in a cult.
I was very wealthy when I came in. Being president, I probably...
He's not gonna. He already has. The Trump regime has already deported 2 U.S. citizens. One of them was a 2-year-old child. Again, I'm saying it, therefore you're gonna say it's fake news, so it doesn't fucking matter. But this is irrefutable fact, and you live in a delusion.
Funny if you really look. In fact, I do something that no other president has done. They think maybe George Washington has done. I contribute my entire salary to the government, back to the government.
So will you contribute anything you earn from crypto back to the government? If that happens?
I never thought of that. I mean, should I contribute all of my real estate that I've owned for many years?
Sorry, guys. We're having some lag. What the fuck is this? There we go. My bad.
Thing that no other president has done. They think maybe George Washington has done. I contribute my entire salary to the government, back to the government.
So will you contribute anything you earn from crypto back to the government? If that happens?
I never thought of that. I mean, should I contribute all of my real estate that I've owned for many years if it goes up a little bit because I'm president and doing a good job?
I just wanted to pull this up for that chatter real quick. Trump officials deport 2-year-old girl U.S. citizen and the mother of a 1-year-old girl. Trump regime has already deported a U.S. citizen. Granted, you're not going to believe it, so it doesn't fucking matter.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I know, frame lag, I know.
I've done something that surprisingly, they say nobody else has done, no other president has done. And it's a substantial salary. It's like $500,000 a year or $550,000 a year, 4 years, a couple of $1 million. I gave it to the government last time. I never got a story saying I gave it. Nobody cared if I gave it.
I did the right thing, and nobody told me I was a good boy for doing the right thing, so now I'm not gonna fucking do the right thing. Go fuck yourself.
I guarantee if I didn't give it, there'd be a big story. But no other president, they say, with the possible exception of George Washington, and they haven't been able to find those records, and we've had wealthy presidents before, but no other president has contributed the salary. And they told me before this that you will probably be asking me whether or not I'm going to contribute my salary again, but you haven't asked that.
Are you going to?
Yes.
You are? Okay.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
What a fucking loser. Ask me. Say, are you going to give your salary? Ask me. Yes, I am.
You're a fucking billionaire, dog.
You're a fucking billionaire.
Oh my God, Chatter said, have some color tray. He meant to say culture. And watch Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk literally said that if his 9-year-old daughter was raped and impregnated, he would force her to give birth to the child. He said that on video. He said that during a Jubilee interview. That's your beacon of truth?
Well, I appreciate we just made news there. Let's talk about foreign policy, sir.
Okay.
You just signed a minerals deal with Ukraine. It's a sign, it seems, that the United States is invested in Ukraine's future. The Secretary of State told me this is a very critical week. Are you any closer to reaching a peace agreement between Ukraine and Russia?
I hope so.
You're not.
How would you
You're not.
I believe we're closer with one party and maybe not as close with the other, but we'll have to see. I'd like to not say which one we're closer to, but we did do a deal for the American people that was good.
I don't gotta support all things Chatter says about Charlie Kirk saying if his 9-year-old daughter was raped and impregnated, he would force her to give birth. Again, just like with Trump saying he wants to deport U.S. citizens, if that isn't a line that when somebody crosses, you no longer support him, nobody can help you. you're a cultist. You will always support Charlie Kirk. You will always support Donald Trump. Nothing they can do will make you stop supporting them because you're incapable of thinking for yourself. You are told what to think, and you are uncomfortable coming to your own decisions.
You know, the Europeans are getting paid back. They have a loan. We didn't. Biden just gave them $350 billion. He has no idea where the money is, what happened. And at least we'll, in one form or another, get our, I don't feel so foolish. And remember this is Biden's war. This was a war that was never going to happen if I were president. This is a horrible, horrible war. And I get to see shots of soldiers through, you know, satellite that are so just.
Why, you a snowflake or up little liberal? First of all, I'm not a liberal. Second of all, I love how you're starting to hit all the fucking buzzwords because you're getting pressured now. Snowflake, liberal. Next thing you do, you're going to say Trump 2028. You're going to hit us with a MAGA chant. Then you're going to fucking run away like you all do. Inbred.
5,000 soldiers.
Inbred alert.
5,000 soldiers a week on average are dying. They're not American soldiers, but I want to solve the problem. They're Russian soldiers and they're Ukrainian soldiers. And if I can save 5,000 souls, I just love doing it.
How long do you give both countries before you're going to walk away?
Well, there'll be a time when I will say, okay, keep going, keep being stupid.
When does that come? Are you close to it?
Sometimes I get close to it and then positive things happen, okay? So I hope it gets done.
Your close ally, Senator Lindsey Graham, has a sanctions bill against Russia. If you get to that point, Mr. President, where you're prepared to walk away, will you sign that sanctions bill?
Well, it depends on whether or not Russia is behaving toward coming to a peace.
He would never have the fucking balls to put sanctions on Russia. This guy loves Vladimir Putin. He wishes he was Vladimir Putin. He does not want to piss off Vladimir Putin. And plus, Trump isn't stupid. He knows he holds zero fucking cards. He knows he has no power in this peace talk. Like, why the fuck would Vladimir Putin listen to a single word Mango Mussolini has to say?
We want a peace deal. We want Russia and Ukraine to agree to a deal. We think we're fairly close, and we're going to save a lot of people from being killed. We save a lot of money, too, because we're spending money like, you know, Europe is spending a third of the money that we're spending. And it's more important for Europe than it is for us. Biden had no control. He just sent money over there willy-nilly. Nobody had any idea what was happening.
The chatter who said he supports Charlie Kirk, despite the fact that Charlie Kirk said that if his 9-year-old daughter was raped and impregnated, he would force her to give birth, just said, I work on my own time, not anyone else. I'm a free thinker, more of a philosopher. He also spelt philosopher wrong. Philosopher. Thank you, dude. I really needed a good laugh today. I really did.
Happening, why they were doing it.
Yeah, no, bro, you're also so big and tall, and your parents aren't divorced, and you're a billionaire. And your dick is massive, bro.
And it was massive amounts of money.
It was massive! Thank you, Donnie! And your dick was massive, dude.
I think you're close to a deal. What will Russia have to give up? Because Ukraine, there's been discussions they will have to give up some of the land.
Russia will have to give up all of Ukraine. Because that's what they want.
All of Ukraine?
Wait, what did you just say, Donald?
Oh,
God, what did you...
Why they were sending it, and it was massive amounts of money.
So you think you're close to a deal? What will Russia have to give up? Because Ukraine, there's been discussions they will have to give up some of the land.
Russia will have to give up all of Ukraine. Because that's what they want.
Russia will have to give up all of Ukraine? Okay, so the war's never ending? Because, I mean, I'm sure you don't know this, Mr. President, but the Russians already gave a 7-stipulation, like, piece of paper where, like, this is what you need to do in order for peace. And one of those stipulations is that the Ukrainians give up Crimea, Luhansk, Donetsk, the Zaporizhia regions. What the fuck are you talking about, dog? Do you know anything about this conflict? At all? Holy fuck.
All of Ukraine, meaning they wouldn't keep any of the land that they've claimed?
Russia would have to give up all of Ukraine because what Russia wants is all of Ukraine. And if I didn't get involved, they would be fighting right now for all of Ukraine. Russia doesn't want the strip that they have now. Russia wants all of Ukraine. And if it weren't me, they would keep going. Do you know that the European Union leaders have asked me to call Putin so many times because he doesn't return their phone call?
You posted on social media he might be tapping you along.
Might be.
Did you misread
But you might
him?
be tapping me along, too, when you tell me how nice an interview this is going to be.
What? So, okay, what, dude, I hope you understand that if Trump gets what he wants by, like, let's say 2026, right? January 1st, 2026. There will be no reporters asking him these questions. There will be no questions. It will be, Mr. President, how are you so big and strong? Mr. President, how do you do it? You're so sexy. Mr. President, you look so good. That's literally what he wants. Called it. What did he say? What did the chatter say? I didn't even see it. I can't see it, I don't think.
So,
Did you?
I'm used to being tapped.
He said,
on.
I bench press more than you. The chatter said, I bet I bench press more than you. I bet you're the big alpha dog, too, aren't you? Oh! You're the fucking leader of the polycule, ain't you? Oh!
Did you in any way misread Vladimir Putin?
Did I what?
Misread him, now that you're saying that?
I'll tell you about that in a month from now or 2
You're
weeks.
a beta, brother? Actually, I'm the fucking turbo wolf. Get down and praise the king. Oh! Brother, I can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. You're role-playing as a fucking wolf? What the fuck?
Weeks from now. I have no idea. I can tell you this. His ambition was stopped to a large extent.
His ambition
when he
was
saw
stopped. Putin just bombed Ukraine today. What the fuck are you talking about? His ambition
But
stopped.
it was me that was now leading the charge because he wasn't dealing with anybody in Europe. He wasn't calling him back. Do you know that I asked him, I said, did Biden ever call you in 3 years? Did Biden ever call? He said he never called. Do you know Biden didn't call him one time? And all these thousands of soldiers, hundreds, millions of soldiers are dying, and people.
Millions?
Not only
That's a
soldiers,
bold-faced fucking lie. Hundreds of thousands, yes, but millions have not died. And that's a very large difference between hundreds of thousands and fucking millions.
people dying in the cities and the towns, and the whole heritage of that country
It's
is being
okay. The
blown.
bigger men will do the hard work. You do your lipstick and makeup. Yeah, no, go do the hard work. Go clock into the fucking Tesla factory. We work to earn the right to work, to earn the right to work, to earn the right to live, to earn the right to die. Yeah, just go ahead. Go work in the fucking factory, dog.
Apart. I mean, the country's heritage is being blown apart. You know the steeples, those beautiful spires that you see, you know the most beautiful in the world?
Yeah.
Almost 95% of them are laying in smithereens, all broken up and so sad, laying all over the ground because they were shot. It's really a bad situation. And he didn't get one phone call from Biden. The war would have never started. And by the way, for 4 years, it didn't start. I was there for 4 years. It was the apple of his eye. This was the apple of Putin's eye. There was no chance he would have gone in.
What's the red line for you? At what point do you say, that's it, we're walking away?
Well, you'll know. I mean, there'll be a time when I may say that. And if
But
I
you're
do,
not there.
there may be something I can't, maybe it's not possible to do. There's tremendous hatred. Just so
Why
you
it just
understand.
goes, I'm straight. Dude, you're a fucking furry. Nobody's gonna believe that, dog. You role play as a wolf.
Kristen, we're talking tremendous hatred between these two men and between, you know, some of the soldiers, frankly, between the generals. They've been fighting hard for 3 years. I think we have a very good chance of doing it.
Very quickly, if you do walk away, would that mean that you would pull military and intelligence
I don't want to say
sharing
that
out?
now. It's too early to say that. I don't want
Okay.
to get into that.
Of
Let's
course
move
he
on to
fucking
Canada.
would. Trump doesn't give a goddamn rat's ass about Ukraine. And to be frank, neither the fuck do I. It's not like I care about Ukraine because of Ukraine. I care about Ukraine because of its location encroaching on NATO territory, and I don't want Putin to be running the fucking border of Poland or fucking Moldova. Is that it? I don't even fucking know. I don't know European regions like that. But this has nothing to do with the Ukrainian people and everything to do with Putin. For the Ukrainians, of course it has to do with the Ukrainians. They're defending their sovereignty. And as a fucking American, you should be able to understand the drive to want to be your own people and have your own land. We had a whole fucking revolution over this, dumbass. But again, Trump doesn't care about anyone or anything other than himself.
You have long talked about making Canada the 51st state. There's obviously a new Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, who you spoke to after his victory. He says that you didn't talk to him in that call about making Canada a 51st state.
No, he called me. He was very nice, and I congratulated him. He had a victory. It's a very close victory. It's, you know, there's no majority or anything, so that's going to make things a little bit difficult, I think, for him to run. But he nevertheless had a victory, and he's a very nice man, I think.
Do you plan to talk to him about making Canada a 51st state?
He wants to come and see me. He's going to come this week or next week.
So will you...
This motherfucker isn't even going to be able to say no about Canada becoming the 51st state.
You talk to him about making Canada a 51st state, annexing Canada?
I'll always talk about that. You know why? We subsidize Canada to the tune of $200 billion a year. We don't need their cars. In fact, we don't want their cars. We don't need their energy. We don't even want their energy. We have more.
Brother, name a Canadian car. If I was interviewing, I'd be like, Mr. President, I want to step. Can you name one Canadian car that we import? Can anyone in chat name one Canadian car that we import? And also, we've already got like the Wyatt, the fucking brain dead MAGA chud bootlicking cuck. Now he's saying, yeah, 51st state all the way. This is what I'm saying, guys. You're not up against fellow intellectuals. You're up against mentally disabled people, okay? So when they advocate, well, yeah, get rid of due process. Yeah, deport U.S. citizens. Yeah, we'll annex Canada. You can't have a conversation with these people. They're too stupid for a conversation. You can't. You just need to beat them into submission intellectually. Beat them into understanding this man is a threat to democracy. And if they're incapable of seeing it, then they're incapable of admitting the fucking sky is blue. Give up.
They do. We don't want their lumber. We have great lumber. All I have to do is free it up from the environmental lunatics. We don't need anything that
what
they
he
have.
just said, he was like, we have great lumber. He's talking about our national forests. He wants to chop down our national forests in order to get lumber.
We're giving them. I asked Mr. Trudeau, who I call Governor Trudeau. I said, you know, not Prime Minister, Governor. I said, Governor Trudeau, can I ask you one?
Did somebody say Volkswagen are Canadian car? Volkswagen. Volkswagen is Canadian? Yeah, brother, and I'm Korean.
Question. Why are we giving you $200 billion? Why are we subsidizing Canada? If Canada was a state, it wouldn't cost us. It would be great. It would be such a great, it would be a cherished state. And if you look at
Canadians, are you hearing this? This is an actual threat of war from the President of the United States. Annexing your nation, pushing you into economic submission so that you are more likely to be annexed is a threat of violence to you. To all Canadians watching this, the President of the United States is threatening you with violence. Do you understand that?
our map, if you look at the geography, I'm a real estate guy at heart. When I look down at that, without that artificial line that was drawn with a ruler many years ago, it was just an artificial line, goes straight across. You don't even realize what a beautiful country it would be. It would be great. But
Wyatt just said they haven't been in war ever when he's talking about Canada, who has famously been to every fucking war that we were a part of, and Canada, who has also famously never lost a war. That's not even fucking debatable. Canada has fought in numerous wars, including both world wars, and they've never lost. That's an irrefutable fact. Facts don't care about your feelings.
I think the American public wants me to pay $200 billion a year to subsidize Canada. Again, remember this.
Yeah.
We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We don't need anything. We do very little business with Canada. They do all of
I mean, I really like Canadian maple syrup, if I'm being fucking legit.
Their business practically with us.
You and I-
They need us. We don't need them.
You and I talked, and I asked you if you would rule out military force to take Greenland, and you said no, you don't rule out anything.
Hey, get ready, Wyatt, to defend using the military to also invade Greenland because you're a warmonger and Donald Trump is a warmonger.
Military force to take Canada?
Well, I think we're not going to ever get to that point. It could happen. Something could happen with Greenland. I'll be honest. We need that for national and international security.
But not
I
with
think
Canada?
it's highly unlikely. I don't see it with Canada. I just don't see it. I have to be honest with you.
Okay, but you don't rule it out for Greenland.
And by the way, Canada, they spend less money on military than practically any nation
Wyatt
in the
says,
world.
send the boys there, take it over. All right, I volunteer you as tribute, Wyatt. Grab your rifle, go put on your gear, and go over to Greenland and go fight and die against the fucking Danish for a piece of land that the United States has never owned. Go. Go fight and die for fucking Donald Trump wanting Greenland, you pathetic bootlicking cuck.
Pay NATO
Fucking
less than any
warmongers.
nation. They think we're subsidized. They think we are going to protect them. And really, we are. But the truth is, they don't carry their full share, and it's unfair to the United States and our taxpayers.
But you are not ruling out military force to take Greenland.
I don't rule it out. I don't say I'm going to do it, but I don't rule out anything. No, not there. We need that. We need Greenland very badly. Greenland is a very small amount of people, which we'll take care of and we'll cherish them and all of that. But we need that for international security. Do you know, we have Russian boats and we have Chinese boats, gunships all over the place, aircraft carriers, gunships, going up and down the coast of Greenland. We need that to be protected. Internationally, we need it.
So
You guys do know that we already have 8 military bases on Greenland and tens of thousands of U.S. troops on Greenland. We have been protecting Greenland for fucking decades. This is not some sort of unoccupied territory. There's only like 12 nations on planet Earth where we don't have soldiers. This is fucking so stupid.
are willing to send U.S. troops to claim a sovereign territory?
I didn't say that. You asked me a question.
You just said you wouldn't rule out sending the military. That's a valid fucking question.
Is there a circumstance? It could happen. I doubt it will, but it certainly could happen with respect to Greenland.
Okay, let me ask you about Iran. Your administration has
This
had
motherfucker has been threatening war with Iran, which would quite literally trigger World War III.
With Iran. Is the goal of these talks limiting Iran's nuclear program or total dismantlement?
And also, fucking Trump pulled us out of the Iran nuclear deal, which prevented Iran from making a nuclear weapon. This is his fuck up. He pulled us out of the deal because Democrats made the deal and anything Democrats do was bad. And then Iran started creating nuclear weapons or attempting to create nuclear weapons. And now he's saying that he's willing to invade Iran with ground forces to prevent them from making nukes. Motherfucker, you did this.
Total dismantlement.
That's all you'll accept.
That's all I'd accept. Now, there's a new theory going out there that Iran would be allowed to have civilian, meaning to make electricity and to, but I said,
That's what the Iran nuclear deal was! That the Iranians could have nuclear energy, but not nuclear weapons. You pulled us out of that fucking deal.
they have so much oil, what do they need it for? But, I've seen it with other states where they're looking to do something and they have a lot of oil. Iran has tremendous energy. I put sanctions, if you know that. I put pretty strong sanctions on 2 days ago on the oil. The sad part is that if Biden didn't get involved, if we had a competent president, you would have never had the attack on Israel. October 7th would have never taken place. Hamas would have had no money because Iran was broke. And now, in a period of 4 years during the Biden administration, they became very rich. They have over $300 billion cash in the bank. And they had no money. They were ready to make a deal with me. And it's very sad. Because of this rigged election, they didn't do it. Just another thing you can mark down to a bad election.
It's interesting what you're saying, though, because Secretary Rubio has said that he would accept, or the idea is there is an openness to accepting peaceful civil nuclear program.
Well, that's what people, I didn't say anything contradictory. I said that people are talking about that, and this is something that's really pretty new in the dialogue. And I'd have to be, my inclination is to say, what do you need that for? You have a lot of oil.
So you want total dismantlement, bottom line. I
think that I would be open to hearing it. Civilian energy, it's called. But, civilian energy often leads to military wars. And we don't want to have them have a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple deal. I want Iran to be really successful, really great, really fantastic. The only thing they can't have is a nuclear weapon. Okay. If they want to be successful, that's okay. I want them to be so successful. And the Iranian people are incredible. I just don't want them to have a nuclear weapon because the world will be destroyed.
Oh, but Israel can have one. I don't give a fuck about Netanyahu.
Just to recap, we're talking about your desire to claim Canada, Greenland. What do you say to people?
You forgot the Panama Canal.
Panama Canal. What do you say to people who say they voted for you because they wanted you to end foreign conflicts, not start new?
I don't see that as conflict. I think that's good for our country, those things.
You don't see sending the military to conquer something as conflict? What?
Panama Canal was taken over by China, effectively. Now China seems to have left, but the Panama Canal, think of this deal. We built the most
Wyatt
expensive...
says, when you see the light, we will accept you into MAGA. And when you see the light, it won't be the pearly gates. It will be hellfire.
Object we've ever built in the history of our country. That was Mount McKinley. They just took away. I just gave them back the name. But McKinley made the money.
He loves McKinley because of the tariffs.
McKinley gets very little credit, but he made, how he made the money? Through tariffs. He was the big tariff president. Okay, but forget that. We built the Panama Canal. It was the most expensive thing. It would be the equivalent, like almost $2 trillion today. We've never spent it. And it was very successful. And Jimmy Carter gave it away for $1.
Panama insists
this is the kind of leadership.
Panama says they do control the canal, but we have a couple more questions left, and
Panama said what?
Little wrap.
Panama said what?
Panama
Wyatt's
says
a
they
girl.
Still control it. I know you're saying China. Panama says they still control it.
If you would have gone there about 5.2 months ago, every single sign on the Panama Canal, with the exception of about 15% of them, was in Chinese.
Yeah. Let me ask you.
What a lie.
Because we're nearing the end. Just a couple more questions here.
I'm not complaining. You keep saying to me like I'm rushing.
No,
you are bitching and moaning the entire fucking interview.
Thank you. The Trump Organization is selling hats that say Trump 2028.
Wyatt is a man's name?
Are you?
Wyatt is your new name. You're transgender. You were a woman. Now you're a man. And because you're transgender, I will continue to refer to you as she.
Are you seriously considering a third term, Mr. President, even though it's prohibited by the Constitution? Or is this about staying politically viable?
I will say this. So many people want me to do it. I have never had requests so strong as that.
25th Amendment, remove him from office. 25th Amendment, remove him from office. 25th Amendment.
But it's something that, to the best of my knowledge, you're not allowed to do. I don't know if that's constitutional that they're not allowing you to do it or anything else, but there are many people selling the 2028 hat.
Including you.
This is not something I'm looking to do. I'm looking to have 4 great years and turn it over to somebody.
Really? Because I don't know. You did say that you weren't joking. And Steve Bannon has said repeatedly, the head of the Trump 2028 campaign, that you will be the president. You're also a pathological liar. And I think you're trying to cover your own fucking ass now, Donnie.
Ideally, a great Republican to carry it forward. But I think we're going to have 4 years, and I think 4 years is plenty of time to do something really spectacular.
The Constitution does prohibit it. Some of your allies are pretty serious about this, though, Mr. President. I've spoken to them. They say they are coming up with potential ways.
Well,
obviously, the biggest one would be a constitutional amendment.
That's because they like the job I'm doing, and it's a compliment. It's really a great compliment.
Has anyone approached you, though, with an actual plan, a way to actually start the process
of a constitutional amendment? There are ways of doing it, and you know the same thing. And if you look at the vice presidential thing and you hear different concepts.
Oh, my God, he's talking about the 12th Amendment, the vice presidential thing. He's talking about letting J.D. Vance run as the president and have
Donald as the vice president, and then once JD wins, JD resigns immediately and Trump takes over. That's how Vladimir Putin took control of Russia. He's seriously talking about violating the 12th Amendment and pulling a Putin. That seems like a good plan. Yeah, Wyatt, you are officially a traitor to the nation. You are advocating for the demise of democracy.
Steps and different, other people say you can have a write-in vote. There's lots of different things. With all of that being said, I want to be a great president. I will have served, hopefully everything will go well. I feel very good. I just did a physical. I took, unlike all other presidents, I took cognitive tests and I aced it. I got 100%
And you haven't asked me
correct.
one
And
question about this.
One doctor said, there were numerous doctors watching, and he said, I've never seen that before. Biden didn't take a cognitive. He couldn't have gotten the first question right. But I came out great with the physical, both physically and mentally. And I just want to serve, do a great job. I'll be an 8-year president. I'll be a 2-term president. I always thought that was very important, to be honest with you. You know, if you look at President Polk, he was a 1-termer and he did some great things, actually. Pretty good president. And I'm not saying you can't do that, but there's something about being a 2-term president that was very important to me.
And just to put a button on it, has anyone in an official capacity presented you with, sir, here are some ideas by which you could actually get a constitutional amendment?
Well, in a capacity of being a big supporter of many people have said different things, but I'm not looking at that.
You haven't had official meetings about it?
No. And just so you said, 4 years is a long time. I have almost 4 years. You know, all of these things that we've done more than any president, and even you might admit that.
Oh, you
Nobody's
have.
done the extent of
You're
the
right.
things that we've done. Nobody's done this in essentially a little bit more than 3 months. As they say, 100 days. I'm looking to do a great job as president and set the country on the right track, because if I didn't win, this country would have failed. We would have been a failed nation.
Brother, we're failing now. We are a failed nation.
You have built a political movement that has transformed the Republican
Greatest
Party.
industry.
It's transformed the country,
The
quite
greatest
frankly.
political movement in history, MAGA.
When you,
Make America great again.
when you look to the future, Mr. President, do you think the MAGA movement can survive without you as its leader?
Yes, I do.
Of course it can.
What gives you
I think it's so strong, and I think we have
Dude,
tremendous
the MAGA
people.
movement would get stronger after, you know, Trump is gone. Because, you know, like a martyr is strong, you know? Like, if Donald Trump, he had statues of the guy, then he could become a myth. You know what I mean? If I couldn't get it from the horse's mouth, they would just say that he was the best and whatever. Like, yes, MAGA will 100% survive.
I think we have a tremendous group of people. We talked about a number of them. You look at Marco, you look at J.D. Vance, who's fantastic. You look at, I could name 10, 15, 20 people right now just sitting here. No, I think we have a tremendous party. And you know what I can't name? I can't name one Democrat. I mean,
he's not
look
wrong.
at the Democrats. They're in total disarray.
He's not wrong. I couldn't name a single Democrat. Like, I can't tell you who the Democrat leader is. The Democrat Party is so fucking stupid. He's 100% right. They are in total disarray.
They have a new person named Crockett. I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. And they said, she's the future of the party. I said, you have to be kidding.
She's not low IQ, but she's certainly not the future of the fucking party.
Know what they're going to do. And I really believe in a two-party system. Because it's good to be challenged. It's really good to have a two-party. You know, it's good.
Fuck the two-party system, dog. You're trying to tell me I got to choose between heads or tails? Go fuck yourself.
Being challenged is okay. It keeps you sharp. I don't know what they're going to do. They have nobody. Bernie's 87 years old or something. And, you know, Biden is the worst thing that ever happened to old people, because he was grossly incompetent, and I think maybe for artificial reasons. You know, he had operations and things, so maybe that's an artificial. But I know people that are unbelievably sharp, and they're older than 87. But I watch Bernie Sanders. He's a nut job, but he's still sharp. He's sharp as he's the same guy he was. He hasn't gone down. But Biden is really, he's the worst thing.
New chatter says, so you're a liberal? No, I'm not a liberal, dude. I'm a fucking socialist. Which, I don't know, if you don't know what democratic socialism is, you probably think that means I'm a communist. I'm not a fucking communist.
It happened to old people.
I know that you are only 100 days in, but as we sit here today, Who do you see as your successor, Mr. President?
Well, it's far too early to say that, but you know, I do have a vice president, and typically it would be, and JD's doing a fantastic job.
He would be at the top of the list?
It could very well be. I don't want to get involved in that. I think he's a fantastic, brilliant guy. Marco is great. There's a lot of them that are great. I also see tremendous unity. But certainly you would say that somebody's the VP. If that person is outstanding, I guess that person would have an advantage. But I think the other people would all stay in unbelievably high positions. But, you know, it could be that he'd be challenged by somebody. We have a lot of good people in this party.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about
Jesus Christ. Okay, that was, without a shadow of a doubt, the worst interview in presidential history. The 25th Amendment needs to be invoked. Donald Trump needs to be impeached, removed, and arrested. Okay? If you were capable, if you were watching this entire thing, if you were, and this is almost 2-hour-long video, if you were capable of watching that entire interview and you somehow still support Donald Trump, nobody can help you. You are way too far gone. But anyway, that's all I have for you today. If you're watching this live on YouTube, you stay. We're going to keep on going. But if you're watching this pre-recorded on YouTube, thank you for watching this entire thing. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It costs you nothing, and it helps me immensely. If you do want to help the channel financially, because this is real independent media, not like Ben Shapiro or Steven Crowder or Charlie Kirk, I actually have no funding, whereas those people get millions of dollars from the GOP. If you want to support this channel, all you got to do is become a patron on Patreon for $5. You could become a member here on YouTube for $5. You could buy some dope-ass Valenti Videos merch right down below, and you could use the 40% off discount for the Vantage subscription on Ground News in the link using the link down below. Other than that, make sure you hit this video. It's going to pop up over here. I promise you, it's absolutely fucking gas. And other than that, thank you for tuning into the Valenti Vod. I'm your perfect and humble leader. Click that video. Bye-bye.